Finally tonight, a record-setting deal for one of baseball's most storied teams and more recently, one of its most troubled. Hari Srinivasan has our story.
For a closer look at all this, I'm joined by Bill Shakin, who's been reporting on the story extensively for the Los Angeles Times. He joins us tonight from New York. Thanks for being with us.
Sure.
So first, I got to ask, are the Dodgers or any team worth $2 billion?
Well, they're worth what somebody is willing to pay for them, and Frank McCourt, the outgoing owner, was able to get Major League Baseball to let him sell the team in an auction rather than let baseball steer it to a preferred bidder. That might have ultimately doubled the final purchase price.
And so what's the logic behind it? How do they plan to make this kind of money back?
Well, it's a long-term investment, and I don't think anybody goes into sports teams thinking it's the year-over-year profit so much as the appreciation in franchise value. In this case, the Dodgers are also fortunate in terms of timing because their television contract expires at the end of next year. There are two cable giants in Los Angeles who are going to fight tooth and nail to get the Dodger games. The Dodgers also have the leverage to start their own channel, much like the Yankees or the Red Sox. And there are people who think that the television contract could be worth $4 billion or twice the purchase price for the team.
So let's talk a little bit about the magic factor here. Almost all the headlines today, he's just one of the owners of the group. How much does Magic Johnson mean to this deal?
He means that his winning lineage with the Lakers and his megawatt smile have all of a sudden, by themselves, lifted a cloud that's really plagued Dodgers and their fans for the last 3 years. He's not going to be the day-to-day manager of the team. He's not going to run everything in the business operations, but he'll be there, he'll be around, and he'll be the face of the Dodgers.
And so one part of that is already coming true. It seems that I was reading the Times today, and some fans are celebrating as if it was 1988 when the last time they won the World Series.
Yeah, it's been way, way too long. For a legendary franchise with large market resources, the World Series should not be an accident, and we have a whole generation of people in Los Angeles who have grown up without ever seeing their team play in the World Series.
Now, does this do enough to unite that fan base? It seems that people there like the Dodgers, they just didn't like the last owner.
Well, there were a combination of a lot of things that happened, but certainly the ownership struggle was part of it. The Dodgers have two of the very best players in baseball in Matt Kemp, their center fielder, and Clayton Kershaw, the Cy Young Award winner last year as a pitcher. And really what this deal does is puts the focus back on the players and takes it off the divorce court and the bankruptcy court, which is what's preoccupied Dodgers and their fans for the last 3 years.
And when we talk about the players, there are already other teams that are wondering, if you have this kind of money to buy the team, do you have a whole bunch of extra money to start picking up very expensive players from around the league?
Well, when I spoke with Magic Johnson today, he spoke very glowingly and almost enviously that the Crosstown Angels had picked up Albert Pujols this winter. And who's to say if the Dodgers try to make a similar move on Matt Cain or Cole Hamels next winter, but certainly that they have the resources to apply now to a baseball team as opposed to bankruptcy lawyers.
Now, is there any other baseball team or even, I guess, even sports team that you could think of that could come close to this kind of evaluation?
No, this is definitely a world record price for a sports franchise. It beats anything in the English Premier League, which is generally the gold standard for sports leagues in the world. But it's, again, a combination of circumstances, a private auction, a television contract coming up, and many, many qualified bidders trying to get in on the action.
All right, Bill Shakin from the Los Angeles Times. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.